Yes. Good afternoon and a Happy New Year, everyone who is joining today at this room and virtually. My name is Shinobu Yamaguchi. I'm a press officer for the Japanese mission. It is a great honor and privilege to have you in this press briefing, and Japan is delighted to kick off the new year as the president of the Security Council for the month of January, which also happens to be the start of our council term for 2023 and 24. We have here with us the permanent representative of Japan, Ambassador Kimihiro ISHIKANE, who will take us through this month's program. And to his next, the political coordinator, Minister Yukiya Hamamoto. As usual, we will start with the ambassador's remark, which will then be followed by the Q&A. Without further ado, I have the honor to invite Ambassador ISHIKANE to take the floor for initial remarks. Ambassador, please.
Well, thank you. And good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. I hope everyone had a wonderful holidays and is ready to start the new year on a strong and positive note. Japan is honored to be the president of the Security Council for January, and we look forward to steering the Council's agenda with a commitment to being open, transparent, inclusive, efficient, and collaborative with fellow Council members, the wider UN membership, other UN bodies, regional organizations, and civil society. The program of work is now available online. So I will start by highlighting our two signature events. Number one, the first is an open debate that will take place on January the 12th on the promotion and the strengthening of the rule of law in the maintenance of international peace and security. This is a ministerial meeting that will be chaired by His Excellency Mr. Hayashi Yoshimasa, Minister for Foreign Affairs of Japan, and will feature briefings by UN Secretary General, President of the International Court of Justice via VDC, and Professor Dapo Akande from the University of Oxford. We believe this is a timely meeting for member states to make a call for uniting for the rule of law. At the beginning of this challenging year, the objective is to reaffirm the meaning and role of the rule of law among nations, defend the Charter and the common understanding that the rules to which all member states have agreed must be observed by all. Given the many multifaceted and interconnected challenges that the world faces today, we hope this event will serve as an important reminder that we should individually and collectively pursue the rule of law and abandon the idea of the rule by force once and for all. Second, our second signature event is another open debate titled Peace Building and Sustaining Peace, Investment in People to Enhance Resilience Against Complex Challenges, and will take place on January the 26th. Japan is aware that there are multiple conflicts and peace-building challenges around the globe. Every single one is equally serious and needs Council's attention. And in this context, we expect briefers to be a UN Deputy Secretary General, the PBC Chair, and a civil society representative. The Security Council, together with the wider UN membership, have a historic opportunity to reflect and review the Council's work on peace building and discuss how best to evolve and strengthen it, considering the current and emerging threats and challenges to international peace and security. We hope this event will foster a productive and inclusive dialogue that encourages us all to work together and reinvigorate our peace-building efforts by investing in people, as they are not only victims of challenge, but also agents of change. While we have many important items on our agenda for this month, including the open debate on the Middle East, and other mandated meetings on the Middle East, Africa, and the Americas, I would like to draw attention to the vital cross-border humanitarian aid meetings in Syria, which, as we all know, is due to expire on January the 10th. We schedule adoption, adoption on this matter on January the 9th. We hope the Council can agree in assisting Syrian people in dire need. We also schedule adoption on the mandate renewal of ANFICIP on January the 30th. Throughout Japan's presidency of the Council, we are committed to being open, transparent, efficient, and inclusive. And that is why we intend to bring as many diverse voices as we can to the table, including other UN bodies such as ICJ and PBC, as well as civil society representatives, while streamlining the women, peace, and security agenda across all of our Council discussions. To wrap up, Japan looks forward to working closely with Council members, the wider membership, other UN bodies, civil society, and others in order for the Security Council to fulfill its mandate to maintain international peace and security. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Now we'll move on to the Q&A. I noticed many requests, so I'll take note of them. And for those who are participating virtually, please feel free to make a request on the chat box or you wish to take in the floor. First of all, as is custom and courtesy of the President's briefing, I have the honor to ask the President of the UN Correspondent Association, Valeria, to have the first question. Valeria, please.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Ambassador, on behalf of ANCA for this press conference, and we wish you the best of luck for the busy month ahead. So my question, Valeria Robeco from ANSA Newswire. So what do you expect in terms of security in the Indo-Pacific region along this year, from, of course, the DPRK to the developments in the South China Sea? And do you think it may be a topic of discussion in this month of presidency of Japan? Thank you so much.
Well, as you may see in our POW, the Indo-Pacific agenda per se does not appear in the program. But of course, you know, what's happening in that part of the world is closely connected to what's happening in the other part of the world. So what we'll be discussing under the, rule of law signature event or the peace building, all those kind of things will come down to the importance to the peace and security in the Indo-Pacific arena. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. First James, then followed by Abdullah. Afrin.
James Bays from Al Jazeera. Thank you for doing this, Ambassador, and congratulations on your presidency. Can I ask you about the situation regarding Israel and Palestine? You have just joined the Security Council at exactly the same time as there is a new Israeli government, the most hardline in history, and it's already doing things that seem to breach Security Council resolutions. The National Security Minister, Ben Gvir, has been to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, and you've got the Prime Minister Netanyahu making statements, I quote, "The Jewish people have an exclusive and inalienable right to all parts of the land of Israel." He then quotes the areas, and they include the occupied territories. He says he'll promote and develop settlements in all parts of Israel. That's a clear defiance of UN Security Council resolutions. You're holding a rule of law event. Doesn't seem to be in the spirit of that at all. So what is your reaction to all of these developments, and how do you think the Security Council should react? And I understand you've got your hat on as President of the Security Council, so I'm quite happy if you tell us in your national capacity. Thank you.
Well, as the President of the Security Council, I would like to conduct my presidency in a fair and effective manner. But if I may talk in my national capacity, our national position on this issue is quite clear. We support two-state solutions. And as a member of the Security Council and as a member of the United Nations, I think we need to uphold the Security Council resolutions that had been adopted.
So those comments from the Prime Minister of Israel seem to go completely against resolutions and the two-state solution. What is your reaction to those comments?
I think, through the discussions, already the Middle East issue is expected to be discussed in the program of the January. So all those kind of things will be discussed during that discussion, during that, session. And I will repeat my position. We attached to this, upholding of the Security Council resolutions adopted by the Security Council. I think we are here for that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next will be Ephraim of Alam News, followed by Michelle Reuter.
Thanks, Shinobu. A question, Mr. Ambassador, on the cross-border mechanism. Do you have any worries that by January 9, there's probably a danger that the mechanism will not be renewed? And what do you think it will take for Council members to agree on this topic?
Well, actually, the situation in Syria, humanitarian situation in Syria, is deteriorating. Some say that 15 million people will be in need of assistance, and especially in the northwestern part of Syria, the people, almost 3 million people in dire need. For them, it's a matter of life or death. So we definitely need to pass adopt the resolutions which will extend the current cross-border operations, and people are working on that. And I have to say, those exiting members like Ireland or Norway have worked a lot. And the other council members are also working on that. So definitely we need to adopt this, resolutions before that lapses on the 10th of January. So this is my determination, which I can share with you today.
Thank you. Michelle, followed by
Thank you, Ambassador. Michelle Nichols from Reuters. A couple of very quick questions, just to follow up on Syria. How would you assess the negotiations at the moment? Has Russia indicated whether it might allow this extension to happen? On North Korea, would Japan like to see the Secretary General get a little more involved, perhaps, in trying to push North Korea to resume talks? Where do you see that heading? And then just on Afghanistan, there was quite a few announcements from the Taliban over the holiday break. The first one coming while the Security Council was meeting with the ban on women from universities. Is there any plans for the Security Council to discuss this or take any kind of action?
Many questions. About Syria, well, the only thing I can say now here is that, there is intense, discussions underway. And I'm really hoping, and not just hoping, I'm determined to make it happen. I mean, the adoption of the resolution to take place. Otherwise, it is a matter of life or death for so many people. So apart from any political divergences, this is something we need to move ahead. About DPRK, oh yes. If I may talk about it, in my national capacity, well, Security Council has been not really successful in speaking in one voice on the DPRK files. But I think, things are not really going well. Things, I have to say, deteriorating. So many missiles launch we have witnessed. So having joined the Security Council, I'd like to convey the voice of Japan or Japanese who are facing this, threatening danger coming from our neighborhood, and try to make our best efforts to come up with a unified voice of the Security Council. That's, one of the things I will be pursuing joining this Security Council. And regarding Afghanistan, yes, things are not going well. But of course, on the other hand, according to some report, some, engagement seems to be underway. But apparently, regarding the situation of the gender equality or the attendance of girls and ladies and the education opportunity are not really happening as we expect. So this is something we definitely need to discuss. And although that does not appear in the POW now, I think, these subject matter will come up to our attention in due course. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, then, the next is Abdul Hamid, followed by Linda, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. Congratulations on your election as the President of the Security Council. My name is Abdul Hamid Sayam from the Arabic daily Al-Quds Al-Arabi, that is based in London, but it's a pan-Arab paper. And I want to follow up with the question of James about Palestine and Israel. You say that you uphold the Security Council resolution. That's the position of your country. You know Israel is in violation of international law when it annexes Palestinian land, when they build settlement, when they change the demographic composition of Jerusalem. They are all in violation of international law. And being neutral on that is not the right position. Your country, the voting record of your country is always, abstention. You voted last Friday abstention on a draft resolution in the General Assembly referring the occupation and the legality of the occupation to ICJ. So how could you say that you are uphold the rule of law and the Security Council resolutions at the same time you vote abstention in front of all these violations of international law? Thank you very much.
Yeah, regarding our position, I would not repeat what I have said before. And when you look back, what we have said, what I have myself delivered in the Security Council chamber regarding the settlements and the other actions taken by one government, we've been very clear. We've been very clear. We said it's illegal. It's in violation of the international law. It's in violation of the Security Council resolutions. Regarding the resolution which you have just referred to, for which we have abstained, we look into that resolution and we consider it. And of course, referring to asking for the advisory opinion of the ICJ is one option. But what kind of questions should be asked? How and when? And what will be the best, way to use that kind of reference to the international body to make the best use of, to be made best use of for the achievement of the peace. So that's our, long consideration. So based on that long and complex consideration, we voted abstention. Thank you.
Well, the next, Linda, and followed by Desi. And we'll
Thank you,
continue.
Ambassador. Oops. Thank you, Ambassador. I'd just like to go back to North Korea for a second. I was wondering on a national level, I mean, we know that South Korea and the U.S. are working very hard to, enhance nuclear planning and working together to address, rise in tensions with North Korea. Given that Japan is vulnerable and has been the subject of North Korean actions, can you talk about what Japan is actually doing, how Japan, if it is collaborating with the U.S. and South Korea now that there's been such an escalation?
Well, I think you better ask that question in Tokyo, because, as President of the Security Council, the only thing I can say is that, I'd like to have a united voice of the Security Council regarding this, very, thorny issues. What I do here in New York and what my colleague people do in Tokyo or in Washington, D.C., I think they are complementary, I think those, we need to do both. Here, what I wish to do is to try to have a unified voice of the Security Council so that the voice could have an impact upon the North Korea and upon the other aspirant. So, yes, please.
I just wanted to throw in again, is Japan actually enhancing, getting more involved this time around with the United States and South Korea?
Well, as you insist on that question, maybe I have to answer that question in my national capacity. The answer is, I think, yes. With the increasing threats we are feeling coming from the northern part of Japan, from that country which is located to the north of Japan, we are getting giving a second thoughts to the national strategy, defense strategy. So we will be more actively engaging and cooperating with the United States, and our cooperation with ROK is also on the rise. So this is something we are doing in Tokyo, Washington, and Seoul. But what I do here is something different.
Since we have a long queue of the request, I'll take two more from this room for the moment, then go back to the virtually participated participants and come back. But first, Daisy.
Thank you, Shinobu. Ambassador, this is De Zhishu with China Central Television. First, congratulations, and hope you have a very successful presidency. So my question is concerning the defense strategy, because we know that Japanese government just released the 3 key security documents which talk about the deployment of long-range missiles, as well as raising the cost of our budget of self-defense forces, and also the capability to counter-strike. You know, on one hand, some people believe that, I quote, the national security strategy said counter-strike capabilities enable Japan to mount effective counter-strikes against opponent's territory. This one is contradictory to the Constitution of Japan, Article 9, which mentioned that the Japanese people forever renounce war as sovereign rights of the nation and the threat of use of force as means of settling international disputes. On the other hand, we know many Eastern Asian countries, China, South Korea, DPRK, even Russia, expressed their concerns or dissatisfaction on this. So in the capacity of Japan, how are you going to address those concerns?
Well,
and sorry, and as the president, obviously we know China and Russia are both in a Security Council. What's your expectation to work with those countries?
Let me first answer to your second question. What's my expectation, in the Council with regard to my relation with China and Russia? It is dialogue. It is dialogue. We need dialogue, with China and Russia, so that we can come up with, a unified, united decision or voice and so forth that can make a difference in the security situation in the region. And regarding our national, our defense strategy, I don't think I am in a position to answer that here in New York. But I think all the decisions which are being taken are based on the Constitution of Japan. And also, one more thing is, we are doing all that in full transparency. You can see what we are doing. You can understand what we are going to do. Nothing is behind the curtain. It is 100% transparent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Madam in the middle, please. Yes.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Ambassador, for your remarks. My name's Yvonne Murray. I'm with the Irish broadcaster RCE. A question again on China, if you don't mind. With regard to the upgrade of Japan's defense capability, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry accused Japan of hyping up regional tensions to seek military breakthroughs, and suggested Japan earnestly reflect on its history of aggression. In your national capacity, can you respond to that? And also, as you'll sit alongside China on the Security Council, is this something that you will address?
Well, maybe better not to answer that question, but I think I won't comment on what has been said by the Chinese officials, please have a look at what we have done and have been doing since the end of the last war. I think we can safely say that we contributed to the peace and stability and the prosperity of many parts of the world. This is something we are pretty much proud of. Please look at that legacy we have accumulated. So we will, building on and based on that legacy or asset of Japanese diplomacy, we'd like to contribute to the discussions which we are going to engage within Security Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, thank you. For the moment, I now would like to give the opportunity to the participants participating from virtually, and we got several requests from them. First, we'd like to start with the Pamela of CBS, followed by the FTCA of the AP. Pamela, please.
Thank you very much, Shinobu, and thank you, Ambassador. We're looking forward to the month. In your concept paper, it's Pamela Falk from CBS News, by the way. In your concept paper for the month, you said it was in the context of the UN Charter, we need to remind ourselves that we should pursue the rule of law instead of the rule by force, especially for vulnerable nations. Could you be more specific? Is this directed at the invasion of Ukraine? And what is your view of the Ukrainian proposal for a peace conference here at the UN? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very important question. Regarding that, regarding our signature event of rule of law, of course, in that discussion or in that open debate, the Russian invasion into Ukraine will be referred to or discussed, but not limiting to that. I think this we like to make it an occasion, opportunity to stop and think back and look into how we have achieved, what we have achieved and what we have not achieved, and where we are going, or where we should going in terms of the rule of law. Because especially the small and vulnerable countries are the beneficiaries of rule of law. So through the discussions, we wish to hear various diverse views of the countries which have its particular vulnerabilities. For some countries, maybe rule of law is very important for its independence, for its territorial integrity. But for some other countries, rule of law related to the climate change may be more important. For some countries, rule of law might be extremely important for their economic activities as something that underlines the predictability. So, through the discussions, we wish to hear diverse voices, views regarding the different aspects of rule of law. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And I'm sorry, just the second part of the question on the possibility of a peace conference at the UN.
Well, if that comes up, actually, I haven't yet heard about it. So if it comes to my attention, I will give it a due consideration. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then next, Iftiko of AP, please. Iftiko.
Thank you very much. This is Iftikhar Ali from Associated Press of Pakistan. Mr. President, congratulations. My question is a follow-up to Michelle's question on Afghanistan. The Taliban, Mr. President, are also failing to uphold their pledge to the international community not to allow the Afghan soil for terrorist attacks against neighboring countries. But Mr. President, over the past few weeks, terrorist attacks against Pakistan have escalated coming from Afghanistan soil. Is that something the Security Council might discuss under your presidency?
Well, as you may see in POW, that hasn't yet, appeared in the schedule as such. But the discussions or the concerns, as you have referred to, of course, the concern about the gender equality related issues and as well as the security related issues are being discussed among member states, which I am aware of. So in due course, that may come up to the Security Council discussion. But at this very moment, I cannot say that for sure. Thank you very much. But I will, of course, keep that in mind as it is extremely important.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to come back to this room. I recognize 2 requests from the second row and 1 from Alan. So I'll start with Madam, then I will come back to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ambassador. This is Mariam Ramadi, Iran International. I would like to ask a question in your national capacity. As you know, the situation in Iran has worsened. The protesters have been on the streets for more than 3 months now. The Islamic Republic government have been suppressing the protester and continue to do so. We had 2 death sentences today that have been announced by the Supreme Court, the Iranian regime Supreme Court. I would like to know Japan's position on the ongoing protests in Iran, and also if you can tell me about the Security Council meetings, or if there is any Security Council meeting planned for the Islamic Republic of Iran selling drones to Russia and for them to be used in Russian-Ukraine conflict. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Regarding the second part, the latter part of your question, as you may see in POW, it hasn't yet on the agenda as such, but the concern of the issues which you have just referred to should be shared by some of the member states. So let's see what happens, and I also keep that in mind. And regarding our position vis-a-vis what's happening in your country, we are very much concerned. We are very much concerned, and we try to convey our message. As we have entertained a traditionally relatively good relation with Iran, we try to convey our message, our concern to Iranian counterpart in a way or other. So that's where we are now. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. And
Thank you, Ambassador. A follow-up about Iran. In a speech at the General Assembly, Prime Minister Fumio Kishida said Japan, as the president of the Security Council, will not only listen to the big voices, but will also be attentive to the small voices. And as Mariam said, the humanitarian crisis in Iran is deteriorating faster than it has ever been. And Japan now has the ability to advance discussions on the Islamic Republic's security threats to its own people and the international community by calling emergency meetings discussing the matter. Will Iran be on Japan's agenda now that you're the president of the Security Council?
Well, during the month of January, as you see on the POW, it's not yet there, but I will listen to other member states. As I'm a president, so I will listen to other member states how they might think about what you have just referred to and give due consideration to that. I should be fair and effective on that as well. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Sorry, keep you waiting, Alan. I guess that's your turn. Are there anybody missing? Okay, 2, 3. All right. So we will come back to you. All right, Alan, please.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Alan Bulkati from RIA Novosti News Agency. I wish you all the best during your presidency. I have a question to you in your national capacity, please, if I may. Could you please confirm the date of the high-level meeting between Prime Minister Kishida and President Biden? Is it January 13th? And when should we expect 2+2 meeting between the foreign ministers and ministers of defense, if you can? Thank you.
Well, in Japanese political scene, I cannot confirm the date of the meeting or the foreign visit of a prime minister or foreign ministers, because that can only be announced after the approval of a diet. So as of today, I cannot confirm the date, nor I cannot confirm if he is traveling to the United States.
Right. Thank you very much. While I recognize many of you have an interest on the national capacity, I also welcome the question to the President of the Security Council. Thank you. All right. So
it seems you are not really expecting much from the President,
Okay. So Dries from the Passbrew.
Thanks very much. I have 2 questions, and one might be related to your national capacity. You can answer as president of the Security Council too. But does Japan support this nascent effort to prosecute Russian leaders for the crime of aggression through a special tribunal at the endorsed by the UN?
Well, that matter and how we find a way out from this Ukrainian issue is a very complex and that which requires a very, delicate handling of the matter. So I would rather, not to respond to that question right away. But I think we need to deepen the discussion within the Security Council and together with General Assembly so that we can find out the way into the future. Because at this very moment, frankly speaking, we are not, I should say, I am not aware of concrete steps, who or how and when we can start the peace talks on the Ukrainian situation. It is very sad to say all that, but that's also pretty much related to the battle on the ground. But that doesn't mean that the Security Council or GA should stand idle. We need to discuss. We need to deepen the discussions. But I think we should not anticipate the outcome of the discussions, and I should not prejudge, how we should approach this question, this very much complicated issue, by answering to your question in a clear-cut manner. Thank you.
So it doesn't sound like you have a position on a special tribunal to prosecute crimes of aggression?
I think I shouldn't, let me repeat my position. We will discuss that matter in the council and try to see what is the best way to seek what is the best way out for this, quagmire in which all countries are in.
And my second question is, how will you specifically promote women, peace, and security agenda in the Security Council this month, besides making statements about women's role in peacemaking?
Well, I think, that will be discussed within the framework of a peace-building, signature event, which will be taking place on the January the 26th.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Then followed by Alu, and after that, Madam. And perhaps the last question. Is that right? Okay. All right. I will come back to you.
Aru Lewis from IANS. Japan is a member of the G4, has been pressing for Security Council reform. How do you see the prospects for the reform process proceeding? Last month, it came up in the signature event on multilateral reforms. What will you do to push for reforms in the Security Council and outside the Security Council also? Thank you very much.
Well, as you have just pointed out, my predecessor, the PR of India, has organized the signature event on the reform. I think that was very important and meaningful in that, we could have first-hand voice of many, high-ranking officials on their thoughts on the reform of the council. And I think this council reform discussion should be deepened within the framework of IGN. So in my national capacity, I have to say that, the discussion at the IGN is not really moving forward. It's just repeating the same discussion after year. So I think we need to change the course so that we can make steps forward in terms of regarding this council reform. Because I think we have witnessed during the last high-level week, many countries, whatever the final picture they have in mind, many countries do agree on the importance of the reform of the council. So the point is how we can move things forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Right. Madam, please.
Hello, Ambassador. Sakura of TV Asahi. I just have a quick question on DPRK, specifically on the human rights situation. And I'm wondering if you have any intentions of bringing back an open meeting of the Security Council on the topic. And I know it's not on the agenda this month, but could it happen even under your presidency?
Well, I think the DPRK's humanitarian situation was discussed in the closed meeting last year, and at that time, people said that this discussion should be made in a more public meeting. So personally, that's my wishes as well. So we are hoping that will take place sometime this year. Thanks.
Thank you. All right. So I recognize the last question there. Please, sir.
Hi, and congratulations. I'm James Martone from Asharq News. And one of your colleagues in the press, the stakeout this morning, not stakeout, but the designation of the flags, your colleague from Mozambique talked about the problem of the Africanization of terrorism. And I don't, other than seeing at the last of the month that you have a report due on ISIL, what are your concerns, President, regarding terrorism in Africa?
I think that's really serious. As my colleague Pedro has put it, the Africanization of the terrorism is challenging, issues which we need to face squarely. And well, of course, when we talk about the mandate or the extension of the peacekeeping operation or special political missions, all those issues will be discussed. But at the same time, when we discuss, the peace-building matters in the signature event taking place January 26th, we will, also focus upon the importance of institution building, because the terrorism, of course, one way to face the terrorism is to quell down the terrorism by using the enforcement, law enforcement. But at the same time, what we believe, Japan believes, important is to put a stable and resilient institutions on the ground, which can deliver basic service to the people. Without that kind of institution, the people's trust in the government or people's trust in the community will not be nurtured, and without which I think the sustained peace won't be possible. So, and that will give a ground. That will give a ground for those terrorists to flourish in that vacuum. So, through all that kind of discussions, we will handle that matter. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I guess we exhausted all requests of the question. And thank you very much, Ambassador. And thank you very much for coming here as well to those who are participated virtually. We are indeed looking forward to seeing you more in coming weeks throughout the months of January. Thank you very much. Meeting closed.